Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. The SMB Community Podcast is brought to you by Kernan Consulting, your mergers and acquisitions experts. Since 2006, we've been through over 30 transactions, and just this past year, we've been involved in over 6. So if you're interested in either buying, selling, or valuation information, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. There's a ton of activity going on, and you can be a part of it. Reach out for more information at kernanconsulting.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the SMB Community Podcast. Hey, James, how are you doing today?
Doing good, Amy. Great to see you again.
Good. Well, as Midwesterners, we'll mention that it's a lovely winter day with plenty of sunshine here in Michigan.
Yeah, we're a day ahead of you, so it's supposed to get up into the 50s this week. So looking forward to that. It's good weather to walk the dog. So that's quite a change from where it's been the last couple of weeks.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that cold snap was brutal. But it's good to be out walking the dog. And, I hope we don't get your super warm weather because I'd like to keep my snow. We only have a few inches on the ground, but boy, it cheers things up when it's there.
Yeah, we've hardly had any snow. We've had those cold temperatures and that wind chill. That's a nightmare. But we've had less than 1 inch of snow all season.
Yeah, there's something really weird going on with the weather because the western side of Michigan and the Erie, Pennsylvania, and Buffalo, all those places that are in the path of lake effect, they've been getting slammed because we had a really warm year, and so the Great Lakes didn't freeze right away. And they're just now starting to freeze, and so they're just getting dumped on. Like, there's record snow. There's like 10 feet of snow in Gaylord, Michigan so far this winter. But they also had to close Michigan's snowmobile trails for lack of snow in huge swaths of the Upper Peninsula and in upper Wisconsin and Minnesota. They've got no snow because no actual weather is coming to provide rain, but snow in the winter, right? So it's a weird thing. If you got lake effect, you're getting dumped on, but if you're not in the path of lake effect, ski resorts are closing, snowmobile trails are closing, and that really affects the local economies up there. I feel for them.
We'll see what happens with the second half of winter. The forecast looks pretty clear, at least here in Nebraska. So we will see. But I think it was 3 years ago, we had so much snow in February, and then the sun came out in March, and all the flooding in the Midwest. There were just all sorts of flooding because they had record snowfall in February. So
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, the long-term forecast did call for late winter snow, so we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's enough to save those businesses that depend on snow for the winter. So anyway, we should talk about actual MSP businesses. And what's going on in the news. You alerted me to a rumor floating around that some mystery company is looking at buying Intel or doing a takeover or some such thing.
Exactly. So there's a tech news and research site called semiaccurate.com, and they talk semi-accurate because you're only semi-accurate. So yeah, great point. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. Intel, the former 800-pound gorilla, we've talked a lot about the chip manufacturing and Intel losing market share. They've just been slow to move with the whole AI side of things, that it's just so hot and driving all the demand for chips right now. But rumor has it that somebody looking at acquiring them and taking them over. So I certainly think that they would be a prime candidate with all the resources and history that they have. So we will see. We will see. I hope it's a cool name instead of, Dell with Intel inside, Dell computers with, mystery company inside. So we will see where how that goes.
Yeah, it would kinda be good of them to keep the Intel name actually, because it does have a really good reputation for such a long time. When these old companies get bought, sometimes it's a good thing. The everybody's sacred cow can maybe get called and, get down to the core of what's new and, what's exciting and what's the future of the company instead of holding on to the past, which a lot of times in old companies, that's what happens. Because if you've been living inside a business and doing things a certain way for 30 years, it's really hard for people to see outside that box and do something new.
Yeah, they have not been looked at as the most innovative company as of late, but historically, back to your point, I couldn't agree with you more. The Intel name is solid. Remember back in the days when we were in the trenches selling, I would never sell an AMD or any other chip processor other than Intel. That was the standard.
Yeah, me too. They've got a fantastic R&D arm. So, there's a lot of value there. I just hope it remains a US company because I think that's important for our national security that we hold on to some of these types of firms.
Exactly. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So, there's another article out there about the top 3 things MSP should know about CMMC, and, there's a lot of detail in that. Do you wanna summarize that one for us?
Yeah, this was a really good article that caught my eye. Obviously, compliance, CMMC specifically is hot. We've talked a lot about this. We had Mike Semmel on the podcast, if you remember, Amy, early in January here, kind of kicking off the year. And we talked about this. There's some new regulation coming or that came out in December that are tighter requirements on MSPs that are doing business with the DoD, the federal government or federal government prime contractors. So a lot of security framework processes that require certifications. So, I know of a lot of resources out there that offer CMMC overlay services or third party services if you want to partner with it. But it's just getting more and more difficult and more expensive if you're going about it by yourself. Um, and the one thing that kind of caught my eye, that you'll laugh at this, Amy. They said three things that MSP should know. The first one was the new identity or your identity. You're gonna go from an MSP to an ESP. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, another acronym? What does ESP stand for?" It's the external services provider. So obviously in the world of risk, that makes sense, being an external services provider, not an internal services provider. You're a third party company. I just thought
Yeah.
that was
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, because we need more acronyms in our industry, and especially ones that people already have assigned to something else, right? E does not bring to mind someone who manages your computers, it brings to mind somebody who predicts the future, right?
Yeah. And on that note, I will say if any of our listeners know of a great book, I've gotten this question hundreds of times, a book on acronyms, to understand the industry lingo in the channel, MSP. I mean, there's so many acronyms. Amy, you and I have been in the channel for 3 plus decades, or at least I have, and, just knowing this is all just kind of second nature. It's like, "Oh, yeah." But when you're trying to teach someone new coming in the industry, all of these acronyms, it's crazy. So if anybody knows a book that has all the crazy acronyms that would be good for, like, a new employee coming into the industry, please reach out and let us know. I'd love to see that.
It's another one of those things that changes all the time too, but yeah, you just sort of roll with the punches with the acronyms around and when you're in this industry. I mean, some of them stick, but a lot of them do come and go. So, I mean, for a while, everything as a service, right? Yeah, I've been glad to see some of those kind of wane because it was getting ridiculous. But Yeah, let's see. So I wanted to bring up on the CMMC thing though. The NSITSP, right? The National Association of IT Service Providers, Society of IT Service Providers, rather. We've got a 12-month webinar series going on for members. It's about CMMC, but it is appropriate for anybody who wants to do anything with compliance.
Yeah.
Because CMMC is really setting the standard for compliance across the board. They all sort of harkening back to that similar framework. It's like the gold standard. So learning about that and attending that 12-month webinar series, which it's January, so it just got started. It's definitely not too late to jump in. Would be a really good continuing education thing for you and your staff to do this year.
Yeah, great learning opportunity if you want to pay closer attention to this. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So TikTok is still in the news, right? But TikTok got a reprieve, right? It went dark and then it came back, but it's just a 30-day reprieve, in which time they're going to make some decision on what to do with TikTok. And a lot of companies have made proposals to buy it. So, about 2 years ago, Microsoft proposed to buy them, and ByteDance did not bite. They, didn't want to sell and thought they would just fight it in the courts. That failed. They got all the way to the Supreme Court, and everybody, all the courts along the way said, nope, 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 nope. You got to go. Um, so Oracle, Microsoft, and Perplexity all have proposals out there. The most interesting one to me is Perplexity because, Microsoft and Oracle, that's maybe kind of predictable because they're very large businesses in the industry. But Perplexity is kind of a new player out there, right? It's Perplexity AI. They were farmed up by some folks that are originally with OpenAI, and it's actually my default search engine now. I love these guys. But they made an offer, and their offer is pretty unique. Excuse me. Because it leaves the ByteDance investors with their equity. It gives the federal government 50% equity in the company, while removing all of the telemetry and stuff like that was going back to the Chinese government about the users and activities and that kind of thing. So, um, very interesting proposal. It'll be interesting to see if that is actually, um, of interest to our government to be a part owner of that AI. And with that big announcement that they had about, pulling together companies for $500 billion investment in AI, maybe it does. Sorry, I got kind of a frog in my throat this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
sorry about that. Anyway, that I find that whole thing really interesting to see how that's all going to shake out and how far government's willing to go in their AI investments.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that. So it does seem like TikTok's in the news every day, but yeah, that's interesting. It'll see, and we're coming, we've got a couple weeks yet to see who the suitors are good or which one's going to be selected, I guess. So we will see on that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then did you see also Citrix acquired another company? So, Yawn, another channel acquisition, but, Citrix was back in the news, acquiring Unicorn, which is a thin client provider. So for you Citrix fans out there, Citrix does it again.
Yeah, we were hearing a lot about unicorn for a while. And so it's interesting that Citrix has bought them. Um, I hope they don't bury that product because a lot of companies were really moving in that direction. So um, hopefully that'll help keep Citrix on top of their game with their thin clients. They've been in that industry for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So let's talk about our MSP question of the week. The question of the week that came in, and thank you guys for submitting them. We really appreciate it. Send those over to James or send them to me. Should I answer my calls live or via an auto attendant? And I like this question because there's been a lot of noise out there lately with AI coming into this space as well. So you can have an AI chatbot answer your phone for you these days, or you can have AI route your calls. But is that something that you really want to do? What's your take on that, James?
Yeah, I'm old school, Amy, and I would just say, people do business with people. I think it's really important to have a warm voice, pick up the call within 3 rings. Those were always the companies that, I worked in, and that was a big belief we always had, and then, you could route the call to someone else, but, promise to get right back to them if it drops into voicemail. You know, we the one thing I'll say about that and why I feel so passionately, I've mostly worked in sales and marketing my entire, career, and I know how much money people spend on leads and how hard we work on it, and then when you finally get the phone to ring, you better pick it up. You need to pick it up, right? And, I've seen all too many time, the phone will ring, it will ring, it will ring, and if it's a prospect, they're gonna just hang up and they're gonna call someone else. So, you wanna make a good first impression. You always want to, handle those inquiries coming in. So I like having it answered live, if you can afford that, and then maybe augment that with some other tools that are available. But I like answering it live. How
James,
about
but
you?
I, as an introvert, I absolutely hate answering my phone, but I 100% agree with you. It has to be done. Um, so in my MSP, I did have a gatekeeper because one of the pushbacks is we just get far too many sales calls, right? So we do have to have somebody answer the phone and, make sure your gatekeeper isn't just closing him down, but actually understands what the calls is. And if it's a potential client, you know, that person makes that, warm, friendly answer of the call and then sends it right over to you, the business owner, or, sales or wherever you're at in that process to get them that immediate conversation because they called, they're ready to have it right now. And you don't wanna miss that opportunity of, "Oh, yeah, I'll call and talk to that prospect later." Well, by then, they've already talked to 2 other MSPs before you.
Right.
So, I 100% agree, you have to answer the phone, and, if you're an introvert like me and you don't like answering that phone, get yourself a gatekeeper, let them pre-do it for you. I have no problem talking to somebody who's in sales on the phone to be able to tell them about my business and why they should work with us. I just don't want to personally answer every call, but I'm there. And when the moment is there and the iron's hot, I'm there for it.
And for the record, there's some really good call answering services out there, and they're not that expensive. Sometimes it's a lot less expensive to do that than maybe hire someone full time. But hopefully it's one of your employees picking up the phone, but if you don't have the bandwidth to do that or the budget, look at some of these third-party companies. Daybreak is a good one, some clients of mine use. They answer it live and have a conversation and find out what they need. Um, Smith AI is one, and I think there's another one, this I'm thinking back years ago, was it ruby.com? I think, was the name, but you could just Google it. But there's some good virtual answering services out there to cover your phone. So I would not let it go to voicemail.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. So, James, I know you've got a class starting this week, right?
Yep, I'm excited about that. So I've been working on it, for a long time, but it's a 5-part series on M&A for managed service providers. So I go into all the exciting stuff about how to find a good deal and make sure that you don't trip and fall and do the wrong deal. What your team looks like, how to do valuations, what you should be looking for, um, exciting stuff like that, and then even the boring stuff, I'm gonna make it as exciting as we can with, getting through the due diligence and, some of the regulation that goes along with it and some of the financing and so forth, but, I'm looking forward to it, a 5-part series, and, it should be a lot of fun.
But I would just say that, even if you don't think you're ready to sell your company or, you haven't really thought about M&A, you should still take that class because M&A in our industry is just becoming another way to grow your business, and it's something that most businesses are going to do at some point in their lifespan. So it's a good chance to educate yourself on what's involved in that.
That's a great point. I remember vividly the first time that my company was acquired, and I had some M&A experience coming into this, but when you're the one in the middle, there's the emotions just really get going, and, I get asked this all the time, "Do you think you sold your company too soon?" And, kinda think I did, but it seemed like a good idea at the time, but, when it's like, to Amy's point, it's good to go in educated, cooler heads will prevail because then you'll know what you're looking for and how to navigate around and other team members that you should have to lean in, as opposed to just all of a sudden getting caught up in the anxiety, in the deal, that's easy to do. So, you always wanna be educated, I think is the point. So, great.
Yeah, for sure. It's an emotional thing. We talked about that before last year when I sold my company and I said, the easiest way to explain it was I felt like I sold my cat. Is that sort of emotional experience, maybe that people could relate to if they can imagine selling their dog or selling their cat, it would be like, oh, it just hurts a little. And but M&A is also about buying and acquiring and building your business and, those good feelings, but it's important to also know what that person on the other end of that acquisition is feeling like too. So yeah, I'd encourage everybody to take that class, and then I also want to encourage them to take my class. I'm doing a class on um, taking advantage and getting your share of $600 billion. There's $600 billion out there for MSPs in managing, monitoring, securing AI for your clients. And I know they have not asked you for it, but this is what they need. It's what they need. It's up and coming. They're using it today. They're using it in an insecure and sort of Wild West kind of way. People signing up through things for shadow IT and maybe not using business accounts and data's leaking all over the place. Businesses need to get their heads and arms wrapped around that, and you can help them with it. And that's what my class is about. So all this stuff falls into the wheelhouse of the MSP. This is your chance to be first to market with it. I mean, what a great sales proposition for you to go in and say, "Yeah, we're on top of this stuff." And all the other proposals you got probably didn't mention how they were going to help you with AI, but let me tell you how we're doing all the things the competitors are doing, and we've got a new initiative on AI to help you do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, another great opportunity to learn and get your business to stand out in 2025 by leveraging AI and educating your customers on it. So,
Yeah, so that class is going to start on February 3rd. Go over to thirdtier.net and sign up for that one. And, yeah, so we're gonna get going February 3rd. It's 7 sessions. We're gonna go through all the different aspects, and it will fall into your MSP wheelhouse. I'm not gonna make you learn how to become a developer. It's not about that.
I have Brandi Bonds, who's the managing partner of Next Level Now. Hey, Brandi, welcome.
Hey, thanks, James. Thanks for having us today.
You bet. You bet. Well, it's great to getting to know you a little bit, and we've had a little chat here preparing, but I'm looking forward to having an ongoing discussion with you. But before we start kind of digging into who your company is and what you do in the channel, Give us a little background on you. I want the listeners to get to know you as a person a little bit. You know, what got you into the financial field and even technology, and a little background would be great.
Great. So got me into the financial field is very interesting. My grandma, she was
Oh,
capped
nice.
as a woman, being able to not go above an AP clerk. So I was raised being told I was going to be a female CFO. And here I am. So very interesting, come from strong women and love that. She will ever forever get credit for that. And I
That's great.
yeah, so I've been a CFO now for about 20 years or so, and started in my teens at high school doing the bookkeeping classes, and then went to college and just worked my way up from the bottom up to the top to be a CFO. Love
That's
the data.
So I was one of the few that did all the bookkeeping and accounting classes in high school as well, and kind of helped me. At the time, it was like, Dad, why do I have to take these classes? I'm the only boy in the class. And he goes, Hey, dummy, that's exactly right. One, you're the only boy in the class. Hint, hint. But more importantly, you know, it's a great field. You need to learn the numbers and business, and this is a great way
Yeah.
to get you going with it. So I was with you. So awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, so Next Level was founded 23 years ago by my business partner, Ken Peterson. I joined the firm 10 years ago, and we were a pure fractional CFO business.
Okay.
6 years ago, I became partner with him, and we decided that there wasn't a lot of talent in the industry to be able to get our CFOs the good data to be able to do good decision making unless they did it. CFOs don't really love to do transactional accounting work or financial close work. And sometimes you miss things in the analytics. So we decided to bring on accountants and controllers to help support our CFOs and go in as a team approach to our clients. We have found it to be super, super beneficial to our clients because we can price right size, and we do almost, instead of an outsourced, it's a co-source model where we go in and partner with our clients, with our accounting team, either internally at the client or with our team, and augment where they need. And we've been very successful. We've been working in the MSP IT space for 10 years through Next Level. And then my background, I came into this space in my former role, but in the IT and hospitals. So with the old Epic software, but it was the same model, but we just supported those systems. So we brought all that knowledge with us to give to our small MSPs.
And that was something I was attracted to you guys about is your tenure in the industry. There's a lot of companies out there that are touting, "Oh, we're fractional CFO." I know the importance of having accurate books and records in your business. It makes your business worth more. I'll
And
just say that, you can, you know, most people are very bright in the industry, and if they have the right data at the right time, then they're gonna make the right decisions, right? So I'm
right.
already a big fan of that in general, but what's unique about you guys is your tenure in the industry. You know all these line of business applications like the ConnectWise, the Kaseya, you know, let's talk about that a little bit about, you know, I'm sure you help people with the integrations, you know, those the knowledge of those line of business applications are really, really important. And
Yeah, so we agree with that as well, and we're super technology forward. One of our core beliefs is if you know the technology in which you're using to be able to make business decisions, you can drive your models better, you can see what's going on, and you can understand the levers better. So over here, we have implemented, re-implemented all of the PSAs. We work with service leadership in Sleek. We work with Pick a Software, ConnectWise. Halo's the newest one we've been partnering with. and it's a newer software out in the market, but our people are all certified in implementation. We take it very seriously, so we don't just say we know it, we can prove that we know it. And we do take the time for our controllers, our CFOs, and our accountants to gain those certifications so that we don't mess up your data. We want to make sure we keep it good, allow you to make the best decisions that you can, and improve it.
Exactly. And I know a lot of our listeners out there, this is music to their ears because there's a lot of companies that provide similar services to you, but are not familiar with the integrations. And all of a sudden, they'll make one chart of accounts edit and clink, you break the integration, your
Yeah.
sync's not working, and then everything falls apart. So that's good that you have experience with that because I think that's so incredibly important. Something else that stood out with me when we were chatting that I thought was really unique. You're much more strategic than most people would probably realize. Some virtual CFO services, they help with annual budgets, strategic spending, cost savings programs, right? And then you kind of go into the bookkeeping and accounting. You're more strategic where you're helping, guide almost more advisory, overall decision making by using the data. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit because I thought that was really, really good. I don't know if you have maybe an example customer, or maybe you could just elaborate on where you could help people from that standpoint.
Yeah, so we look at all levels of the business, and yes, the budget is important, but we believe in forecasting, even over budgeting, which is really important to understand where the business comes from and how it's going. So we'll analyze customer mix, we'll analyze that the revenue bands on each customer. If you're an IT MS, if you are an MSP provider, you charge fixed fee. Well, what does it take per band of client to support those? Because a lot of people don't think of it that way. They think if they gain a $10,000 a month client, they're gonna be rolling in the dough. Sometimes those clients are the more needy, not priced appropriately, so it could take more resources, so we'll look at that as well. But we also believe in looking at and qualifying the value of your pipeline. Not everybody realizes when you look at your pipeline, you wanna make sure that you're looking at it and assigning the correct probabilities because you need to know what are you going to need if you land that business. So we'll look at that. We do want to have a seat at the leadership table with the CEO because that's how we can be most effective and efficient, right? If we're guiding you on advice on what markets you should go into, maybe you're in 20 different industries, and maybe we realize that 2 or 3 of those are more profitable than the others. We'll help guide you through those 3 industries to gain profitability. But we also look at what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to grow to add revenue? Grow to add profit? Do you want a lifestyle business? Do you want to do an ESOP or an employee stock purchase program? Do you want to do acquisitions? Do you want to sell? All of those have a place in how you set up your financials because if they're not set up appropriately, and you mentioned this earlier, it's the fastest way to devalue your organization if your financials aren't set up appropriately and you don't have everything in line. So we'll work on that as well.
Agree wholeheartedly. I do a lot of mergers and acquisitions work and review financials all the time. And it's the number one deal killer right there is when people have
Yeah.
inaccurate or not current financials. If there's funny business going on, it'll get uncovered. And that's why you need professionals like you helping out with that. So I love that. I think that's great. So how long does it take if somebody contacted you, the onboarding process, what does that look like so everybody can understand, does it take very long to get onboarded and then start working at a strategic capacity with your firm?
Yeah, no. So our onboarding process, we lay out when we meet with you, We meet with you several times. Then we come out and we do an assessment of the organization. We talk to the key people, we talk to you, and we determine what it is in the first 90 days that's going to set us up for the most success for you and for us. And we map that out and we're able to execute on that usually in 90 days or less. It depends on the level of sophistication and or cleanup work that needs to be done on the accounting records, but we start at that strategic level right away. Every business has a little bit of a unique capacity to it, but that's the people element, not the business element. We can see through and help on the business side. The systems can have some of the difficulty in play, but we can work through that. We just have to get to know you and your people in order to be able to help at that higher level.
Got it. Got it. You said something else that kind of stuck with me. You want a seat at the leadership table. And, being a previous CEO of a fast growing IT MSP, it's lonely at the top and things are going fast. Data's coming at you left and right. Opportunities, challenges are left and right. And as a CEO, it can get really lonely. But the more intelligent people you have at the table as your sounding boards, helping you make the right decisions, that's really important. Some people look at that as, oh, it's something that's going to take more time, or someone's going to argue with me. I won't get my way. And don't look at it like that. It's everybody with the seat at the table would be trying to help you make the right decisions. And then they're using data, and answers that you've given about what your vision is for the company to help you get there. I think that's really important as well. So I like that. I like that. And then you can work with people all around the country. Do you have clients outside the United States, or is it just kind of Canada, United States area?
We do have some clients that they have an office in the US, but as well as internationally over in Europe
Okay. Okay.
and Mexico, Europe, Mexico, and Canada. But they do have a US presence as well. So we can work wherever. And I just one quick point on that, being your partner and being lonely at the top. The good news for us is the best relationships we have are twofold. One, you can text your CFO at any time or pick up the phone and call. There's been numerous occasions where someone will get a text and be like, okay, hey, I just landed this big contract. What are we going to do? What do we need to do? And that's the type of collaboration you get. Or we just lost that big client. I need to talk through it because I'm scared for my people. You may be a CEO of a company, but we certainly don't have all the answers as CEOs. And sometimes you just need someone to soundboard against to come up with those decisions.
Exactly. Yeah, those tough decisions. That's so important that you move quickly on that.
Yep.
Well, I think this was good. Was there anything else that you wanted to highlight of any new services, or where do you think the company is going here in 2025?
Yeah. So for us, I'd like to challenge more of the MSPs that we work with or not work with to disrupt the industry a little bit and focus more on providing outcomes and value to your customers versus time and materials. And in order to do that, it's really important to know how you can best use your people, because that's the old T&M kind of conflict that happens where you charge for an hour, you bill for an hour. But if you did away with timesheets and your people were only focused on servicing your clients and their outcomes, what a world that would be, right? But it is important for you to understand how you can optimize your team based on the revenue that you're bringing in. And it does require you to have a really good handle on your data in order to do that. But it gets rid of that lower admin work, and you can charge for your project's fixed fee. You can charge for your customer's fixed fee with just like the managed service model. So you have that recurring revenue. But I would challenge everybody to do away with the T&M and focus on outcomes versus the billable hour.
Just to clarify, Brandi, I think just so the audience understands, you're talking about outcomes for your clients, right? Not
Yeah.
internal, external outcomes for your clients. Yeah.
External outcomes. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. A lot of our tools are all tracked by tickets and time. So internally, to keep track of people's productivity, your techs and engineers, you'd do that for sure. But I think when you're marketing your business, you're going to make a lot more money when it's the whole underlying philosophy of managed services,
Right.
where we're
Yep.
billing a flat fee across the board for an outcome, a positive outcome for them each month, and we're not just billing them T&M. So
That's right.
that's a
That's
great
right.
point. That's a great
Yep.
point. Very, very strategic. I love it. All right, awesome. Well, hey, how do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more or chat with you or your team? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can go on our website at nextlevelnow.net, or you can reach out to info@nextlevelnow.net, and we'll get right back to you. And of course, anyone can reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with anyone. And it's B Bonds, BONDS @nextlevelnow.net.
.net. Right. All right. Hey, thanks for being on the program today. Great job, and keep up the good work in the channel. We need more strategic partners like you helping us make the right decisions.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, cool. Well, I want to see you guys sign up for those things. That's some exciting stuff coming up. I know James has got another event coming because he does them every quarter. When's the next one and where's it going to be?
Coming up, Dallas, Texas, the end of March. So if anybody wants to come to Dallas, Texas for a little warmer weather and get fired up and learn, collaborate, and have some fun for 2 days, it'll be the end of March, March 27th, 28th. So just reach out, James at KernanConsulting.com, or we've got posts out all over, the website or the internet.
Yeah, and we'll tell you guys more details about that one as it gets closer. So I think we're done for today, James. Great seeing you.
Yep. Stay warm. I'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.